Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with a late May weekly garden tour. I thought that I would split this week up into two, starting here in the native borders at the White House because, well, as you can see, they have come back to life. Everything is in bloom and they look absolutely spectacular. So without further ado, let me go ahead and turn this camera around so that you can enjoy all of these beautiful native plants. We have had a wet couple of days and, well, I'm grateful for it because free water. And as you can see, the Echinacea purpurea have just burst into bloom. They're nice and tall. They're covered in bees, as are the Agastache. Now, a lot of the Agastache have not been reliably perennial, but that's okay because I was in the mountains over the weekend and one of my favorite gardens or favorite nurseries was their vending. And as you can see, I got a bunch of Agastache and more salvias. So I'm really excited about having these plants. I'm actually planning to dig out all the muhly grass that's in this bed. And I know it's spectacular and I don't really want to do it, but the other plants that are in here don't want to be burned, and the muhly grass really responds well to the burning. So I've decided I'm going to relocate the burn-loving plants out of this bed, fill it with things that don't need to be burnt. This won't be a bed that gets fire treatment. However, I'm going to put these muhly grass in that far bed over there, where I have a lot of sedges. I'm going to transplant some of the Carex cherokeensis from there to under live oaks at the Blue House property to make room for the clumps of Muhlenbergia that are here. So I'm excited to do that, especially since we've had some rain. I think transplanting shouldn't be so much of a problem. And I'm really excited just to add some more flowering perennials. You know, I got Salvia leucantha, Salvia gregii, and several different Agastaches. And so I think by removing those muhly grass, I'll be able to fill those in with flowering perennials, and it'll really increase the amount of color that I have in this bed. You can see I do have some big holes, and that's just from some of the native plants not overwintering or perennializing. So I think this is a great opportunity to kind of manage this. I'm simultaneously planning on digging out a good portion of this Solidago rugosa because I don't want the entire bed to be devoted just to that. So some big changes coming here in the original bed on this property. I built this in August of 22 and I called it the perennial pocket bed, and I think that filling it up with more perennials is going to be the right decision. Well, I'm thrilled to see the Orangium is starting to bloom. This is one of my favorites. This is Orangium yuccifolium, the rattlesnake master. But as you can see, I've just ripped out a whole bunch that was dead. And I'm not sure if it was fire ants that did it. This is a not quite dead fire ant mound. I've treated it like 20 times. Or if it was voles coming in and eating it. You can see, though, that it's like showing some rot at the base. So I'm not totally sure what's going on here. I just know that I really struggle with trying to actually eradicate these doggone fire ants. They are just relentless, as are the voles, let me tell you. There is kind of no ending to the damage that these mammals can cause. But really pleased to see that the whole plant didn't die, and hopefully it won't, because this Orangium is just such a cool flower. It's such an important texture, and I definitely need to grow more. Well, I have to say, I was completely shocked when we pulled in yesterday. Of course, it was pouring rain, but to see this many flowers still blooming. This was seeded on February 7th, and I think that may be the magic time, early February. Could not be more contrasting to what I used to say with getting your seeds sown on the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday. But this bed just looks so good with the cottage garden seeds. And now the Rudbeckia Maxima has burst into bloom. And, everything is leafed out, thankfully. once and for all. I'm sad to show you that the beautiful redbud that was here, it actually got broken off by deer. So there is no tree element anymore, which is a shame. And you can see the poppies are actually starting to get eaten by the yellow finches. And this is becoming a big problem because I need this seed because people want to get poppy seed from me. I need the finches to leave it alone. And I can't harvest it right now because everything is too wet. See, if you harvest it when it's not dry, the seeds will rot. So this is definitely going to be a race against time to prevent the yellow finches from stealing all my poppy seeds, which is what happened to me last year, which is why I had far less seed available for sale. You know, my intention with building these gardens was to create bird habitat, and I guess I've done it too well, and now I'm in competition with the birds for my precious seed. I know that sounds kind of contradictory, but isn't that sort of a gardener's life with managing wildlife? And I just want to step out here and let you all see this colorful vision. I like to see the world in a kaleidoscope, and I really feel like this bed is fully embodying that goal right now. I'm really, really pleased with how this has all turned out. And I'm also really happy to see that the Spyheaalba is really growing strong and it's starting to flower. This is a native white flowering spirea. I also have Spyheaalba subtomentosa, which is also flowering over in the other bed. You can see that the cephalanthus all there are starting to put up their funny little flowers. And they look, when they are in full bloom, they kind of look like the COVID molecule. It's kind of like a weird spiky ball. And oh, you guys, it's dragonfly season. Let's see if I can't not spook this one. I love seeing dragonflies in the garden. They eat so many mosquitoes. We really owe them a lot of gratitude. So I didn't Chelsea chop anything in these borders. And that's actually pretty cool because look, the solidago is going to start flowering nice and early. It has basically overwhelmed all the rudbeckia that was in here. However, the rudbeckia is seeding out. The deer are also eating all the rudbeckia. Have no fear. They don't like solidago. So in some ways, I'm not going to fight nature, and I am going to lean into the stuff that the deer leave alone. This solidago is Solar Cascade. Just nice to see a few poppies still blooming. You can see the bees are always busy. They love the breadseed poppies. They love them all, but they really love the breadseed poppies. Now into this other border that is, predominantly understory of sedges. So we've got the Carex cherokeensis here. This is actually a great time to really be able to differentiate. In here we've got, I believe this was Carex muskingamensis in here. And that is all starting to flower. And then I have Lorida in here as well. I might be getting those two mixed up. So my plan is in some of the less dense areas. You see the Carex is really off color, and that's because it's hot and dry in here. I'm gonna go ahead and dig out a bunch of those Carex and move them next door. And this is where I'm gonna put more muley grass, fill in these open holes, and make it so that this bed can really be a burn bed. Not all the shrubs want to be burnt, but I'm going to go ahead and sort of make this conversion. And then we are planning to build another big bed that will be exclusively burn bed all through this middle grassy area. And we've actually have a twofold purpose for doing that. So for one thing, there's just too much turf. I originally left this thinking we might park cars here for events, but that's just not a good idea. So we have this other issue out back where we've got sand spurs that have pretty much taken over a large portion of the lawn in the backyard, and they're awful. Like, you cannot walk out there without shoes on. Sand spurs are really, really painful. So we've decided the logical thing is to spray the turf that's infested in the backyard and then move this turf to fill in that gap. And then we'll finally actually have some nice grass in the backyard. Because see, when they built this neighborhood, they sodded the front yards and seeded the backyards. And so the backyards are really just like, it's green, you mow it. So it would be really nice to be able to get some of this nice turf moved in place, and we won't have the sand spur situation. And we'll have another nice bed here to kind of make this front yard make more sense. I just don't need this much lawn, and I'm really excited about building a 100% burn bed. So all the species that will go in it are meant to be on fire. So that's going to be a really fun thing that hopefully we will have it completed by the end of July. I know it's a terrible time to be out building gardens, but well, sometimes you just got to do it when you have the time to do it, even if it's not ideal. So we're going to do it. We're going to get started. Aiden's excited. School gets out pretty soon, like in 2 weeks. So I'm going to have a lot more availability with my #1 garden helper. All right, so what else is blooming in here? So we've got salvia in bloom, and that's not the label for it. I think it's Salvia urticifolia. I'm gonna find the label. So remember the buckwheat that Callie and I did before I left for Tasmania? All of that's blooming great. Now, it could not be a better demonstration of the power of Soil Cube. So you could see how big it is in the area that we enhanced it with the compost. And then, as I walk over here where it got no compost, look how little it is. And look, this whole side, none of this side got the Soil Cube treatment. And you see the buckwheat is only, what, like 8 inches tall. So it's a really great example. And we've got a sip and stroll class on Saturday night. We do have spots open still. And this is the kind of information that I'm really excited to be able to share with the attendees live and in person, up close and personal. They can really like physically see the differences in plant culture and care and the approach and why it works and why some of the things I do don't work. And, you know, we just get to dive into all of it. I will put the link in the description. Love to have you come out. We're giving all attendees free plants. So in addition to delicious drinks and snacks and lots of information, you will be leaving home with some stuff. Now here is the Spyheaalba tomentosa, and that is a nice pink flowering form, which I really like a lot. And there's more Spyheaalba. And here we've got Ava Grace helping with our tour guide duties. And again, great to see that buckwheat just filling in the gaps. It's covered in bees. In fact, you know, that's one of the main reasons I grow buckwheat, is for the pollinators. And well, there you have it, live and in action. And you know, it's 30 days from seed to flower, so you don't have to wait very long. And it's a really great green mulch cover crop. Can't say enough about it. You can grow it all summer long. When the east meets west border, I think the plants are sort of deciding who is going to take over what space. And got Pycnanthemum muticum mixing in really well with non-native chrysanthemums. We've got lots of muhly grass. We've got the Scutellaria incana in bloom, which I absolutely adore. And when this is finished, I'll collect the seed, cut it down, and it'll reflower. Now again, we've got lots more Pycnanthemum muticum. Now I planted a bunch of other things in here, including Phlox glaberrima, Morris beard, really this bed is definitely just going to be taken over by pycnanthemum, and that is fine. Survival of the fittest is kind of the approach to gardening that I really am having to manage at this stage. And I'm just really excited to see that Scutellaria looking so beautiful. Well, over here in the foundation bed, I did not actually do the Chelsea chop. The deer did it for me. Great. You see, I've got a lot of powdery mildew. That's certainly from the weather. This is Phlox paniculata bright eyes. Look, they left the one that had initiated flower buds, but they literally chopped every other top off. Now, I have not done any transplanting. I do plan to. You see, this particular aster is doing great. I've not done the Chelsea chop on that either, and I actually might wait, let these things bloom early, and then cut them in hopes that they'll do a reflush in the fall. But this is the section that I really want to fill in with more phlox. I'll just transplant the strawberries and this aster out of here. And then this bed will be just filled in properly as it should have been from the very beginning. And back here in the perennial pocket bed, just wanted to show you more bees on Echinacea. We've got bees on Pycnanthemum pilosum. I think that's correct. Got Liatris that are starting to bolt, which is really exciting. And a really sweet penstemon. This is Penstemon strictus. A lot of the penstemon haven't been super perennial for me, but this one's doing really nicely. So I'm excited about that. Funny enough, I'm not having a huge amount of success with Monarda didyma, the one that everyone else can't get rid of. Mine keeps getting smaller and smaller. So, you know, there's always some interesting new challenges. But I'm really looking forward to taking this bed on, getting it a bit more restructured, and I'll definitely make a video of that process. Because I do have a whole bunch of plants that are in really small pots and they need to be planted. Well, everybody, I hope this video of the native borders here in the front yard of the White House will serve as inspiration for you as we close out the month of May. Again, we are hosting a sip and stroll garden tour on Saturday, May 31st, 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's going to be an awesome time, so if you're available, I put the link in the description. We'd love to see you. We've got several other classes scheduled for June, so if you're not available this Saturday, check out the other times that we have. I've basically decided that we have specific goals to achieve in each class. I'm going to cover seed gathering, seed storage, planting for summer from seed, and just general garden tour and questions and answers in all the sessions. So this is a really great opportunity to be able to come out and get your hands dirty and, well, you know, have some fun with us out here in these gardens. So everybody, I look forward to sharing another update with you. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Happy gardening.